first speaker this morning, who's a man who, if it wasn't for John Roberts, I wouldn't have met him. And it just goes to show the power of the relationship, the power of everything. So without further ado, please welcome Mr. Wayne Palmer.
Let's talk about the impact of Google. This is my youngest son, Preston. He turned 7 on Thursday. Thank you. That's why I wasn't here. I teased Preston and said, Preston, I can't be here for your birthday, buddy. They want me in California. I've got to go down there and speak. And he looked at me, and he's a tough little guy, right? And he says, well, Dad, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah. And I said, no, buddy, I'm teasing. I'll be here. I don't care if the President of the United States is there. I'm going to spend your birthday with you. And he said, oh, Dad, you're the best. Well, Preston was in bed with me one night. We'd just gone to see, Night at the Museum, Smithsonian. And, Amelia Earhart was portrayed in that movie. He got really obsessed with Amelia Earhart. Well, Dad, where is she? Where did she go? I mean, what happened to her? How come they don't know where she is? Who knows where she is, Dad? I said, Preston, I don't know. I mean, did she go in the water? Yeah, probably. She probably crashed in the water. There was a little island out there, and I showed him the island on the map, and, she might have missed it. And she probably went in the water. Does that mean she's bones? And I said, well, maybe. And he said, Dad, I know. Ask Google. Google will know where she is. And I thought, wow, Google just became God. Now, how different is his world going to be than mine? Already at 7 or 6 years old, he knows that he can click a button and get information. How different will his world be? Google is a $200 billion idea. Which one are you waiting to hatch? That's big, isn't it? Next thing, knowledge and experience. Take this one in carefully. A lot of people think they have knowledge. Do you have the knowledge to organize, own, and operate a business? Most people will say they do, but most people don't have it. And those who say they do, I think, when they don't, are dangerous. They're surely dangerous to capital. I can't tell you how many foolish people in my early days of lending and providing capital I believed in, and I ended up paying their bills, taking the risk, making up the difference. How good an education do you think that was for me? I'm probably not as nice a guy as I was then, but I probably wouldn't be here if I was. I'm pretty clear these days. Thinking is not knowing. Now, that doesn't mean that if you think you know, you shouldn't go try and see if you really do. But be prepared to pick yourself up and go on if you fail, okay? Fail forward. Stumble, but don't stay down. Anybody ride the bike the first time without falling off and getting back on? Don't tell me if you did, I'll just feel bad. Greg Braden said the key to the future lies in the wisdom of the past. This gentleman is who? Anybody know him? Brigham Young, the great Mormon colonizer, the person who brought the Mormon pioneers out to Utah and settled not just Salt Lake City and Salt Lake Valley, but hundreds of communities up and down what is now I-15 primarily. One of the greatest minds of economics, I think, that ever lived. I've studied him. I would encourage you to do the same if you want to know how money really works. There's a book of his called The Discourses of Brigham Young. He really understood it. He left his life behind so many times and started all over again, even as a 50-something-year-old man, and in a few years had it all back. I want to know what that man knows. How many of you have read The Real Book of Real Estate that I published with Robert? Not enough of you guys. You need to get this book, especially as many of you, as I heard, were in real estate yesterday in your sharing, okay? It's a very important book, not because I wrote 3 chapters in it, but because all the other 22 authors did, and there's just life knowledge in that. Every chapter is full of real experience. In chapter 22, I told my dad's story. I grew up on a farm in South Jordan, Utah, that my grandpa owned. That's my grandpa, the big man there with the horses. And we had a farm. We actually farmed part of the farm with the horses, even in the 50s and 60s. That's me on my 5th birthday with my dad. And I didn't understand growing up on the farm what was really happening to me or how much I was learning that would become valuable to me later in life. For example, Dad would bring horses home. He would trade horses, and he'd bring those home with him. And He'd work with them until he found out which ones were gentle. If they were really gentle, he'd put me on them. He'd clean them up, and then we'd go to the horse sale. And when they cracked the gate on that sale ring, I'd run that horse into the ring, 4 or 5 years old, pull back on the reins, slide the horse in the sawdust to the other side of the ring, back him up. Horse just be marching backwards, spin him around to the left, spin him around to the right, slide off his rump, jerk on his tail, walk between his legs, hit him in the belly, and then come up and stand by the bridle real proud. And do you know what the price of that horse did? Because everybody who was there wanting a gentle horse for their kid just got proof that this one is the one, right? I want to take that one home. What was my dad teaching me?
Showmanship.
Yeah, marketing, salesmanship, how to position yourself. I didn't know that. I was mad at him because other people would come and offer me hands full of money to ride their horses through. My dad wouldn't let me. I thought he wants me to be broke my whole life. I was only 5. He didn't want me to be broke. He wanted me to be safe. He didn't want me on some stranger's horse that he didn't know.